whatever shows up, however it shows up, and your situation, like everybody's, is very unique, right?
Yep.
Your time and at the time of doing this work, uh, there was a very particular objective that you were looking to get some insight around. So yeah, we'll explore that and kind of pull it apart a little bit. What we get it will be perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
good. Sounds good.
All right. So let's set this up with just a an introduction. Who are you, and what do you do?
Sure. I'm James Heck. Uh, Currently, I am the director of facilities for the Alpine Club of Canada. I get the pleasure of looking after 35 remote backcountry huts, and my goal is to preserve that legacy for generations to come.
Mm, amazing. What were you doing at the time of our engagement, which has been a few years now?
Yeah, at the time of our engagement, I was really exploring options on how I could apply the things that I learned as a father and how I figured out how I really interacted well with my kids and learned a lot about being a father was through a method of transportation where I biked with my kids. And so I wanted to explore the option of using that vehicle, literal kind of vehicle, to share with other parents how they can get those same bonding experiences that I had with my kids and really feel the magic of fatherhood.
There was a challenge that you were also faced with inside of that. Do you remember what that was? What you were dealing with there?
I mean, the business piece of just getting a business lifted off the ground, or what?
I would say that that was part of it, right? There was this idea that you were looking to turn into a potential business, right?
Yeah,
So talk about a little bit about that. So I'm not putting words in your
yeah,
mouth.
yeah. I mean, the business was that I wanted to redevelop a child carrier, which was something that you can pull behind a bike and walk and or run and hike with, because really it was about taking my kids on adventures with me, and that's where I got a bond with my kids at an early age. So what I wanted to bring to market was this travel tool to take my kids on experiences. And so I was at the point when I was engaging with you guys that I needed to learn. I wanted to learn where I was coming from, what it meant to me, really what was the heart and soul of the business, and of course, the side piece was it a viable business along with that. But I really wanted to see the truth of the business, and that's where I came to you guys for it, because you, I think, were the only people who could tell me or show me, sorry, what the most core part of that purpose was.
Yeah, to reflect it back to you, not to tell you, and
Yeah,
I,
but
I
to
like
show
how
me.
you corrected that, but to reflect back what you had created, what you were curiously exploring and wanting to get a better understanding of, but kind of being your own. We tend to be our own barriers in that, right? We have our lens in which we look at things, and sometimes we can't see past that. So this
That's
was
right.
something to kind of reveal to you where you were at and what you were up to. So we took you through an exercise, which was the visioning work. We started to paint a picture of the future. what what happened for you during that exercise?
I mean, it was an exciting future. It's always fun to explore what the future feels like or looks like to you. I mean, it was energizing and it was very exciting. It really drove me into taking the next step and the next step and the next step that I needed to along the journey, opposed to the paralysis of analysis. Being able to look and envision down the road, I found just really valuable in putting myself in the future. It's easier to work towards that future, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. As I get present to our engagement. And I'm curious if you remember how you were feeling when we presented to you your dream.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sort of when you presented that to me, and some of the pieces, the parts that came out about myself and my core. I mean, I definitely, I practically wept. It was just so real and impactful that you could capture the things that I couldn't articulate on my own so precisely. It was amazing. From Aaron's drawings to the words that you put together were so spot on.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it was
remember
emotional.
I was moved by, and I'm still moved. It's funny, like I get reconnected to it, but I was moved by how moved you were about getting present to who you are as a father in the world.
Yeah,
It
right.
was fucking powerful,
It
really
was. Yeah,
powerful.
it was. I agree 100%. And I read that. I actually go back on that often. Years later, the business didn't take off purely because of from a market perspective, but what we did and that work that we did, I've used so many times. I've leaned on so many times, and I go back on some of that work on those days where you're just feeling defeated or lost. It was so impactful to me that I lean on it often.
Yeah, that's really great. And that was going to be my my other question is what you're doing with it now. So not only did you go through the visioning work with us, but you took the second stage, the deeper dive, and crafted your guiding documents out of that. From your perspective, what did that sort of that deeper work, what did that do for you? And how are you using that now as well? Is that inside of everything that you just shared, or is there something else that you do with that?
Yeah, there's one thing in particular. I mean, there's many things, but the one thing that came out of it all that I find the most valuable in my day-to-day life. One of the pieces in the core values, I think there's four elements to the core values, and one of them showed me that nurturing adventurous spirits was the thing that brought the most meaning to me in this business endeavor. And after doing this work with you guys, I did another program, and they really drove home this whole everyone should create a personal philosophy. And it became so incredibly crystal clear to me that my personal philosophy is nurturing adventure spirits. It's the most important thing in my life. And it was
Yeah.
those three words that I lean on every single day, every decision that I make, every day when I wake up in the morning, I pretty much recite nurturing adventurous spirits because that's what I wanted to have in every day. And even though that business didn't work out, subsequent careers since have really been, does this nurture adventurous spirit? I feel like I've kind of landed my dream job based on that personal philosophy. Yeah, I get to nurture adventurous spirits every day. Yeah, it shone a light on the most important thing in my life.
Ah, that's so good. That's so great. I mean, that's all I wanted to get from you, man. Just get you re-present to what you created, and it sounds like you're using it as it's designed to be used, which is really awesome to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah, and I think that's the most amazing part is it was designed. My intention was to use it for a business point of view, but really it was so personal.
Yeah,
It came out of it, and that's the part. Nurturing adventurous spirit would be my brand. If that's my personal brand, and
yeah.
I think that's such a cool thing that came out of it. I could go in for as a person to have that come out of it.
What's possible now that you get that level of clarity of self?
Yeah,
What do you pursue next? There's just something that opens up that was never there before, or you had an
right.
uncertainty around, and now it's like, no, this is it. Like every time I
Crystal.
talk about it, every time you share about it, it's you're lit up and you're excited. It's like, no, this is what I do for people, not
Yeah,
I build bike carriers, which
that's
is
right.
what we do. We tend to kind of collapse it with the output, the end product.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's really
yeah,
great.
yeah. That's right.
That's awesome, dude. That's all I wanted
Cool.
from you, and I really
Cool.
appreciate you doing that and having this conversation, getting me
Yeah.
re-present to the impact that it had on you. It's I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad it helped. I wish you guys the best, and I wish you the best in what you're working on. Um, yeah, I'm so grateful that we did the work together. So I'm happy to pay back in any way that I can to help other people take advantage of it because it's incredibly rewarding.